In today's wrap-up, the PM has announced that the constitutional referendum will not be held. 351 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed. USAID has increased its aid to Armenia by $11 million. Public transport operations have resumed in Armenia. And plans for a new bus manufacturing plant have been announced. On Saturday, Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan held a 5-hour-long online press conference where he covered a number of topics. He stated that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it has become impossible for the government to hold the constitutional referendum, which was planned for April 5th. The referendum was postponed and national elections are not allowed during an emergency state. The vote was meant to decide the fate of 7 of the 9 judges of the Constitutional Court, including the president of the court, Hrant Tovmasyan, who were appointed prior to the 2018 Armenian Revolution. Pashinyan stated that instead Parliament will be allowed to vote on their removal, which was a possibility before the Pashinyan government decided to hold a referendum. The government has applied to the Venice Commission, an advisory body of the Council of Europe, for their opinion. 351 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed, raising the total number of cases to 4,823, a significant increase and highest ever reported daily increase. 94 more recoveries were reported and 1 more death. It has also been confirmed by health authorities that an outbreak occurred in a care home of elderly people in Yerevan's North district, which resulted in 40 infections. Furthermore, the town and tourist hotspot of Armenia has been put under lockdown after a spike in cases there. USAID has announced an increase in its aid to Armenia by $11 million, after an agreement was struck between the Office of the Prime Minister and USAID. The US State Department had already pledged $25 million worth of aid, with USAID promising only $600,000. This will mean that around a total of $36 million will be supplied to Armenia. Some of the funds will be used to improve laboratories, support technical experts, and improve contact tracking and surveillance. Public transport has resumed operation in Armenia after 2 months of being suspended. Certain restrictions have been put in place, however, including the mandatory wearing of face masks, and standing will not be allowed on vehicles except trolley buses. Drivers will also now be able to deny entry to those who are not observing the rules, and police can stop vehicles, order passengers off, and fine drivers who are not enforcing proper regulations. The director of the Armenian National Interest Fund, David Papazyan, announced a new plan to establish a bus manufacturing plant in Armenia. He said they are negotiating with the South Korean Yongsan Corporation. Locations for the plant are still being considered, but the new company is set to be launched this year. It is worth noting that plans to construct manufacturing plants in Armenia have been announced before, such as in 2013 when the government subsidized certain groups who didn't produce any results. And finally, Teresa Di Mauro, a former intern at CIVILNET, published her story on CIVILNET about the early days of the pandemic. She shared her personal story of going from doing a journalism internship in Tbilisi, then having to travel to Paris at a moment's notice, then on to Switzerland, and then virus hit Milan, where she finally was picked up by her father and driven home to Tuscany, whilst all the time being frightened of the proximity of the deadly virus. When home, she self-isolated and reflected on what just happened in the Tuscan house of her grandparents.